Well, I don't know when the camera died. But you got the little cap, sits up here. Got your little snap ring, sits down in here. And like I said, you've got to physically push down on this cap to get to that snap ring, and you got to pull, I pick that snap ring out with a little pick, and then once that happens, it might spring at you. This time here, it was a little stuck, and so it took a second for it to spring back at me. But yeah, so there's that part of it. So now what I would do is get the base of the shock, put in the stand there. Okay. Now, pull this spring out. There's one spring. As you do this, watch out, you might get a little liquid. We've got a washer. It goes in between the two springs. Get the spring out of here. She's got a little bit of oil on her. You've got your second spring. Okay. Let's see here. Let me tilt that a little bit. Now on the bottom is a number 6 Allen. There, on the very, very bottom of the shock, there is an Allen down there. And what it's doing is actually tying this center section in. And oops. Somebody, I believe, has gone and stripped out our bolts on the bottom at one point or another. Well, that's going to make this a little bit more difficult. Letting the shock drain. I was just going to let it drain out this hole down here in the bottom, but since we've got to turn it over, yeah, it's pretty wallered out there. Well, that's about as screwed up as it's going to get. Now, trying to think, can you actually rebuild this thing at this point without getting that screw out? My answer to that is, I don't think so. Well, let's go back to the drawing board. We'll be back once we figured out how to get this thing out of there. Well, we had to break out the welder and sacrifice an Allen wrench. I guess I could have used a bolt or something like that, but the Allen still kind of fit in there when you hammer it in. Plus, I got a million of these things. But now the only pain in the rear is a lot of times, which I'll show you here in a sec. Let's see if this comes out without doing it. I don't think it's going to. See, it's not coming out because it's actually spinning up against something here. And I'll show you. And this trick actually works on a couple of different kinds of forks, especially some of these forks that you need a special tool for. And I'll show you. I'm going to have to do this over as far as I can. It's hard to just show you, but it's actually just a like a broomstick, and I've shaved down kind of this end to a point. What you do is stick it down in there, take yourself a hammer, and it doesn't take a lot. You'll see, well, kind of see now. Okay, I might have to take this out because that stupid Allen wrench is welded in there and I can't turn it. But you'll feel it. So basically what it's doing is it's holding on, when you do that, it's holding on to this deal that's inside. Like that. Get that out. And we'll show you here. So actually, see here, it's holding on to this thing, which is down inside of there. When, like I showed, it just kind of wedges itself inside of this little cup. And because if not, this little, because your bolt actually screws into the bottom of here, you know, screws in the bottom of there, and so what ends up happening is this thing's just sitting in there turning like that. You've got no way to grab this other side. Now there are, I think it was on a Yamaha TT350 that I redid the forks on. There was actually a special, tool that you're supposed to have that goes down in there, and there was like a socket in here, and I basically just did the same thing, and you know, you didn't need to buy the special tool. And now at this point, you should be able to just kind of make sure that all the oil's out of it by pumping it a little bit, and this tube should come right out of here. Now there is another little spring on the inside here, so she'll come out. Yep, just a little spring, and that actually goes on there just like that. Clean everything up. Now on these, to get some of the old fluid out and stuff, I just usually use a little bit of brake clean to rinse them out. You know, because brake clean dissolves, you know, evaporates pretty good. So this has got some gunk on the fork itself, on the fork tube itself. So yeah, I usually just spray this out, get that nice and cleaned out. I'll go and spray this out, get it nice and cleaned out. We've got our dust seal that's on here, which is on the top. And when when you do this, be careful that you're not messing up the sides. Oh, the sucker was in there. Yeah, we don't want to score the side of the tube up. Oh, there she goes. Get that guy out of there. That's just a little dust seal. If you don't have those, they're not mandatory. I mean, they're nice to have, but they're not mandatory. Now on top of here, oh, forgot the little tube. Where'd you go? This, forgot this was in the bottom. This actually goes on the very end, like so. Okay. Now there's a little clip right inside here. Get that little guy out, and now all you have left is your seal. Little seals can be kind of sometimes they come out real nice, sometimes they're a royal pain. But again, I gently get in here and make sure that the screwdriver is not scoring the side of the wall, because that would ruin your sealing surface. And got your seal out. So again, clean this all up. You know, if you want to paint your thing, you know, paint your bottoms or whatever you're going to do, or you just want to replace the seals, get it all cleaned up. And basically, it's just kind of a backwards order. Take your new seal, put your new seal in here, new clip. You know, take your, I like to take this rod and slide it down in there first, and then, you know, just kind of just putting it back together backwards. And you know, before you put the main rod and stuff in there, when you get this guy in there, tighten up that screw that's on the bottom, so that way, if you have to use the stick method to hold the other side, you can. And then put your springs back in their order that you took them out, and you should be good to go. So, and really, honestly, this basic process can be used for just about any of these forks that are out there, you know, for most bikes. Sometimes they're put together, you know, just pay attention to the way that the springs come out and stuff like that. You know, there's a little bit different nuances as far as like how to get the two pieces apart. But that's about it, and that's all there really is to it, to rebuilding these forks. I'm gonna have to go and clean these all up, like I said, getting ready for a powder coat. And you know, when I get the forks all done, I'll bring you back and kind of show you what they look like when they were all finished up. So oh, and if you guys were wondering, fork seals, these ones here from Parts Unlimited. Let's see if you can get that. There it is. There's a part number. Those are for the fork seals. And anyways, guys, have a good one, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay. Took a second, but there you go. Oh. So, and I keep forgetting this, and of course I'm not perfect either, but the spring goes on the other side as the rod slides down in there, and then this little guy here goes on the end. Okay? And it doesn't really matter if you do this now or later, but it's time to put our seal in. Get it started. I gotta clamp this down. Now the seal's tough. You want to be nice to this, you know. you may be able to just kind of push it in there like I'm doing, but more than likely, if you don't have one of the seal engagers, you know, the seal driver, get yourself a big socket that fits on the outside of it, and tab it on in there. This one's actually a little too big, just slightly. Oh, 27 millimeter. There we go. And you'll see, because there's the snap ring spot in there, I'm going to take it just past that snap ring spot. So, okay. Okay. Now, unfortunately on this one, I don't have the original bolts, because the bolt, we had to do that to it. So, yeah. Okay, they can be a pain in the butt sometimes to get lined up with that rod. I was having a little bit of an issue that way, but a little finagling, and it's just kind of tough to film on camera. But not too much after that. You know, I like to make sure everything is reasonably cleaned and wiped down. So then, big spring. Washer. Make sure that sits flat in there. Little spring. Little spring. Boop. Now, the fun part, because we've got to compress, make sure that's all the way up. We've got to compress this down and get the snap ring in there all at the same time. So, lots of fun. Okay. Lots of fun. I think for this one, I'm going to need well, this is what the forks look like when they're all said and done. All put back together. Back on the bike. Came out pretty good. But sorry the end of the video was a little choppy. And but that's what they look like. These guys here on these 185s are a bit of a pain in the butt to get back in. Gonna have to use some kind of a wedge in here, and this groove that's on the other side. You know, these bolts obviously have to be able to get out to get this, you know, the fork tube far enough in here. yeah, that can be a royal pain in the butt sometimes. But other than that, she's ready to rock and roll. Customer should be here in a little bit to pick her up. And I think it came out pretty good. So that's that, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.